My name is David. Pinball has become my life. I'm joined by my friend Steph and Matt. We are all, I'm going to let them also introduce themselves a little and tell you some stuff. But we all have met on the pinball scene. We play in pinball leagues. We want more people to play with us in pinball leagues and on the pinball scene. So we want to try to share some of the skills that we've acquired and we're still working on to master. But we want all of you to also be really good pinball players. So the purpose of today is we're going to try to show you some of the basic skills and then some more advanced skills. We're going to do some live gameplay and try to talk to you about what we're doing in the game and why and what we're seeing, because it can be really intimidating to walk up to some of these machines and not know what to do at all, so or how to start. So we'll go through that. Do you guys want to introduce or talk a little bit about yourselves?
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I met Dave actually the first time I went to Lyman's Tavern in Washington, D.C. One of the owners, Kevin, and Dave were there watching me play. And they're like, oh, you should join Pinball League. And I was like, what? I don't know about that. That seems kind of weird. But then I'm super competitive. So I was like, oh, well, actually, I should do that. And so if you're ever in Washington, D.C., you can pretty much play in a Pinball League in the area, not in D.C. Proper every day. But if you live in the area, you could play in a Pinball League almost every day of the week. If it's in Maryland or Northern Virginia, there's lots of opportunities. But if you're not from here, I guarantee you there's a bigger pinball scene in your area than you think. So it's really fun to play in pinball leagues, and you shouldn't be intimidated. There probably will be people who are really good and are really intense, but you have to start somewhere, and you can play in a pinball league even if you have no idea what you're doing. So I've been playing in leagues for 6 years. And I've traveled to all the way to Los Angeles to play in pinball tournaments. So it's a very niche kind of thing, but it is definitely very popular across the country. So if you're interested, you should definitely.
She's an amazing player.
I'm okay. But anyway, here's.
Hello. Just real quick, if you guys see me bobbing up and down, there's a band playing out in the back to the left, and they're really going off right now. So if you just see me nodding up and down, that's really what's going on. But it's banging. You might want to open that door. So my name is Matt Green. I'm from the area as well. I haven't been playing as long as Steph over here, but I'm recently new. I think I've probably been playing in the last maybe 4 to 3 years. Competitively, maybe a year or so. I don't know. What really got me into pinball in the first place was just I found this game called NBA Fast Break, and the whole concept of the game is you're flipping this pinball into a basketball or into a basket, like a hoop, right? Shooting threes, you're dunking, you're alley-ooping, and it's from the 90s. So it had Dikembe Mutombo, Hakeem Olajuwon, Muggsy Bogues, so it was kind of just threw you back. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Let me keep, playing this and trying to get better and better. And, it became just kind of a fascination. You started finding a lot of places. You find a great place like Lyman's, and there's a lot of variety, and finding all the games you like and finding the games that you don't like. And you play the ones you like as much as you can when you can find them, because sometimes you don't be able to find them. And you play the ones you don't like to get better. And so Steph is really downplaying right now. Honestly, she is low key right now, one of the top players in the area. There's a place also in Moms in College Park, Maryland. If you ever, you got Terps? Yo, go Terps, go Terps, go Terps. There's a place in College Park, Maryland. Moms is an organic market, and the guy has also a pretty good pinball parlor. He has a lot of machines. Lots of variety, old, new, all that stuff. Really good place. But in the wall, and this, I'm not even capping. On the wall, there's an article with her on the front of the joint, posted up, looking clean, And so, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started, and you see this person on the wall look like a final boss. And I'm like, oh wow, watching her play. I remember one time I was in, I'm going to name drop as many places, so you guys just keep these in mind, but Holy for Hole is in Baltimore, Maryland. In Baltimore, Maryland, just in case, Hamden, if you don't know. I saw her play Avengers once, get a grand champion, just walk away with it disgusted because of I was like, I've never even fathomed getting the score that high. So she really, people like her and people in the community who really take this as a craft, really inspired me to get better. People who know rule sheets in and out, who can text you, hey, here's a game, and they'll text you a whole strategy without you even knowing how to hit the shots. So, that's what really keeps me moving, and that's what kind of keeps me driving. It's a physical, mental dumpster fire, but it's pretty fun when you get good at it.
Yeah, so we're talking about a lot of locations, so a couple of resources. I wish I had made a slide for this, but I didn't. So a couple of good internet resources would be, so first is pinballmap.com. Pretty easy to kind of remember. Pinballmap.com.
There's an app. You can download it on your phone.
You can literally, wherever you are, look up where pinball machines are near you. It's all user-based. So like if you go somewhere and you find a pinball machine somewhere, you can go in there and update their list. Because so it's like it relies on the community, on us to show up, play the game. Sometimes there's a note in there you can be like, hey, this one has a really low replay score. Like, go nail it. It's great. So pinballmap.com or the app. If you're looking to start, if you get into the leagues and things, there is an official sanctioned governing body kind of thing, the IFPA, the International Flipper Pinball Association. So IFPApinball.com, I think.
Look up her number. Look her up. Yeah. I'm telling you, look her up. It's for real. And a few years ago, they did finally start recognizing, because it's gotten so large and popular, they started recognizing women's pinball specific tournaments and leagues and stuff. So we actually have a totally a leaderboard of which I think you're in the top 5.
So women's pinball can be kind of controversial because there's really no difference between me playing pinball and a guy playing pinball. But the overarching reason for creating separate women's pinball events, because if you're a woman, you can play whatever pinball league you want. But was that it was frequently, still is, very male dominated, and there is a lot of there's pretty intense bros who play pinball, and so women can be intimidated by that, and so it was meant to bring more women into the hobby. So if you and I don't care because I'm not intimidated by it, but there are some people that are, and it's to get people more involved and to bring them into the larger pinball community. So yeah, there are separate women's events, but it's not gender segregated at all. So
there's a nationwide league though. And there's a few of them, but the biggest one is Bells and Chimes. So you might be able to find a Bells and Chimes chapter in your city that runs local tournaments and leagues and things that you can meet up. So then the last two websites I'll mention are pinside.com. It's an online forum, and as any other online forum, is filled with toxic people, but it has really good information about, again, local leagues. It's got a huge archive of pretty much every machine. Sometimes things like how to play it. It rates them, things like that, where you can find them to play them and stuff. And then there's also Tilt Forums, which I've never gone to, but it also has similar information. It's just another.
Tilt Forums is better in my opinion. Tilt Forums gives you that you go there when you're getting kind of serious about playing pinball. Though Tilt Forums is so every game. When I first started playing pinball when I was little kid. I did not know that pinball machines had rules. Like, I just thought you just whacked the ball around and the thing like blew air at you or rumbled, and I'm like, ooh. So like every pinball machine, like the older looking pinball machine, even that one has rules. Like there are extensive rules sheets for like some of the modern games. And Tilt Forums is where people much more committed than me write wiki pages about rule sheets, just about pinball machines and the rules and like how to score the maximum amount of points. So if you get more into pinball, you will find Tilt Forums. Pinside is to me, is more of a message board where I try to, I hide away.
Yeah.
Pinside is kind of weird, in my opinion, but everyone else likes it.
Also, I don't know if you, real quick, I'll see you on the left, but like another place is the internet. I'm not going to use the acronym because I might say it wrong and it sounds weird, but it's the Internet Pinball Database. That's also another good resource as well. It has pretty much every single game that's ever been made. That also sometimes has rule sheets, but it has a really good idea of the older games. Also, it's just kind of fun to like scroll around and like see like, oh wow, there's like a Popeye game. Space Jam had a pinball machine. They made one for Twister.
And all three of those games really suck.
My Twister is playable downstairs, the one that sucks.
I mean,
It's not. So what there you'll find as you start to play and stuff. There are machines with like deeper, what we used to call rule sets. So like something like Star Trek, like you can play for a couple hours and actually see new content. If like in one game, if you're able to keep a game going that long. So there's more content. Whereas something like Paragon, and as you start getting older, there's nothing deep about Paragon. There are some rules and things, but it just doesn't get that complicated. But then things like Twister, it's very, it's got a very basic rule set. There's like 5 things to do, and once you do those, there's nothing left to do. So you have like a spinner and stuff, or drain the ball and try to start over.
I should have said Independence Day instead.
Oh yeah,
Godzilla.
Oh yeah. So it's because Sega at the end of Sega's, we're getting off the rails. At the end of Sega's time of making, Sega made pinballs for a while. So the last Sega that was ever made is down on the floor right now. It's Godzilla, the Ferris Bueller Godzilla. Matthew Broderick, I know. So that's down there. They only made 284 of them, and then there's Twister and things like that. So, and they just kind of started giving up on really getting. They got the franchises, they got the big names, and then they didn't really invest in heavy rule sets. So, we're gonna talk about some flipping things here real quick, and then we're gonna get in some live demonstration before I want to actually show you some stuff. Here I've got a few like animations that I pulled off the internet. I believe it was from Dead Flip's streaming's website. So I did not make any of these. So this is the most basic thing to try to learn. We're definitely going to do this a lot today. This is a post pass, and it's exactly as you're seeing it. So what's happening is as you're cradled up being that you've trapped the ball in one flipper, you are quickly releasing and then pushing the flipper button down again, and it's making the flipper twitch, and the ball goes up, hits the post, transfers over. Post passes are the most common flipper skill you'll use, but they're not possible on every machine because it's a geometry thing, right? I'm tapping it, it's hitting that post. If that post isn't there, if it's a little further to the left or further to the right, it won't work. So it's just as you're playing a machine, you just got to test with that particular machine. And so you'll actually find in a lot of of the largest tournaments, before it's your turn, they'll give you 30 seconds on the machine to actually test it out. And so a lot of people will spend that 30 seconds shaking the crap out of the machine. Let's see how tilted it is, if we can get it to tilt. And then they'll do things, they'll try post pass and things like that, so then they can get a quick idea of if these things are possible. Anything on post passing? This is the live catch. This is a harder thing to make happen. It's flipping right at the right moment to actually impact the ball and stop it dead. the really cool live catches actually happen and slightly different from the animation, which is the ball actually comes to a dead stop on the flipper and then rolls back into your cradle. It's really cool looking. It's just a timing thing. It varies on all machines. It's another great thing to practice because, like, if as you'll see when we start playing, sometimes you want the ball to be on a particular flipper. So you are kind of deciding on the fly, but which flipper technique you're going to use to get the ball on the side you want it to be on. And so that brings us to this other one.
Real quick, this is like real quick on this one. Live catching is kind of, for me, is a little dangerous because if I hit the ball, like you see how the flipper's coming up right now, if that flipper comes up and connects with the ball in a certain way, it will pop the ball back. And it will pop it back into an out lane. And at that point, you either nudge it out the out lane if you're lucky, or it's going to up and over straight in the out lane, you're going to drain out. So this one's kind of dangerous. So what I've been trying to do, because the whole idea of live catching is like deading the momentum of the ball in order to keep it under control. So when the ball's coming down, just as I'm flipping up, I give it a little nudge and actually just like a slight nudge on the machine to also give it a little bit of impact and stop that ball, just to be a little bit safer.
Yes. This one is another way to get the ball on the right flipper.
This is the most important thing you should learn if you're a beginner.
Yeah.
Is sometimes not flipping is the best idea. Sometimes just, the games are free downstairs, so just plunge a ball and see where it goes when you don't flip. Like, don't flip at all, just see where it goes. Sometimes it will go, it's actually kind of hard to drain a ball sometimes. But this is definitely the most important, I think, for a beginner to learn.
Yeah, because it's between this, it's like the two things are like sometimes don't flip, but then certainly don't push both flippers. Because that'll actually, believe it or not, like what might have saved as you're like flipping your flipper and it hits the tip of the flipper, right? Because it was going to drain. So it was going to just hit the tip of the flipper and come over to your other flipper, but because it's up, now it's just going out. So try to not hit both flippers. Sometimes you'll see pro players, it looks like they're actually hitting both flippers, but they're staging it just slightly. So it's like one after the other, and they are getting the save to happen. So like try not to hit the flippers. The important thing to remember about a dead flip as well is, again, test the game, especially if it's like a tournament setting. Because some games, it depends on the mechanisms underneath if this is actually even possible. There are some games where there can be a little bit of play in the flipper, and it'll dead the ball. It'll just like drop and drain. It won't actually bounce over to the other one, but most machines you'll be fine.
Also, I feel like that what he's just talking about, that rolling phenomenon, I also find that it happens a lot more if you dead flip it on the top of the flipper, because there's that connecting point between the flipper and the rail. It might hit that and like kill it, and it might just roll down right after that too. So lower in the flipper, you're a little bit safer, like mid to low. That upper flipper, you might just want to just live catch that and try to see if it rolls back up. Yeah,
it's definitely and it's just try all of these. But it's just about experimenting in geometry and the geometry of the machine and the design. It can vary from machine to machine. This is the drop catch. We're going to show you a lot of this as well. We're going to try to show you all of them, but this is the drop catch where you're cradling. I don't know if any of you ever did the thing where like you toss eggs to each other and you like cradle it. You're kind of doing the same thing. You're dropping the flipper just at the right time to let the ball drop into it, and then try to catch it up on a cradle. It just another thing to help you control the ball. So because there's two real styles of play. There's that I define it as kind of, whereas it's ultra control, where you're doing all these all the time and you're just trying to get the ball to stop as much as you can so you can get shoot your shots. And then there's flailing, which there are like some crazy good players where most of the time they're just able to nail the shots they're going for on the fly. It's just, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm just like, that's so scary. So like you just got to find what works for you. For me, I think I'm kind of a combination of the two. I'll shoot my shots if I'm feeling comfortable, but most of the time I'm trying to get these flipper skills down and really control the ball. Anything else on drop catch? And then we're going to start playing. Sweet. Okay. So, and then I also am going to want to take like questions and stuff in a little bit.
I still got you, guy in the yellow. I still got you. I see you.
I'm going to steal his microphone. And then we'll put it back down when there's questions. Sweet.
Oh shit! Well, you got the question. We got the time now. What's your question?
Yeah, there are. If you couldn't hear what he was saying that one of the reasons he really likes Pinside is because it's got a lot of parts about how to fix things and restore pinball machines, and that is true. There are a lot of parts about techniques and things like that. There's also a number of like Facebook groups, things like that. I keep saying that. And then there's also Homebrew Pinball, which is great. You should look into that. You can build your own and how to program them and build them. And to go further on the repair part, tomorrow John Horner and a few others are doing like arcade and pinball repair panel, so you should check that out. That'll get you on the repair stuff too, which is really cool. Okay, I'm gonna start a game. So Star Trek's a great game to use as a walk-up game.
Player 2, player 3.
I'm gonna turn it down a little bit so we're not drowned out.
That's okay. It's up to you.
So fun fact, this is there's like 3 Star Trek pinballs out there. 2 of them, there's a next generation pinball, and then there's this one, which is based on the most recent series. Both of those pinballs were designed by Steve Ritchie, which most of you, if you've ever maybe not heard of him, he did like the original voice for Mortal Kombat and stuff. He's actually an enormous pinball designer now since like the 80s. And so he did like all the Black Knight pinballs, all like the 2 most popular Star Trek pinballs. And so here we are. We've started our game, right? We have to hit the start button. So with this one, Stern pinballs are. I keep turning around to talk to you guys. Stern pinballs are great because they show you where you want to shoot, right? So, and if this is for the Save the Enterprise mode on this one. With the flippers, and a lot of modern machines do have this feature where I can hit the flippers and select which mode I want. So you can see it's illuminating shots, and what it's telling me is like these are the shots you're gonna have to shoot for your mode, right? So I can keep going around. It's going to change all the different colors, but it's telling me where my shots are. Those are my objective shots. That's going to be the most valuable shot. Basically, the number 1 rule I tell people is shoot the flashing shot. Although usually I use a little more language, but shoot the flashing shot. That's like the number 1 pinball thing. It'll almost never get you in trouble. So now I'm just going to start playing, and I'll talk to you about what I'm going to do. I just want to hit as many of these as I can right now. We're going to go for a little skill shot. Hopefully it's pretty level because we leveled it. So there's a drop catch right there. I'm going to go for the left ramp. So, right, I don't really need a drop catch right here or a post pass, but we're going to do one. No, we're not. We're going to do, I'm going to backhand this. You can backhand a lot of shots in pinball, which can sometimes make things less dangerous. And then so we're gonna do it again. Now I need this orbit, right? Because those are my only 2 shots. Although I've got my warp ramp is lit, but these are the only 2 shots lit, and I want my orbit, and I can get the. I'm just trying to get some like ball control. And that was terrible. Okay. So I don't know if this half of the room or anybody not looking at the screen probably couldn't see. I did a little slap save there, and that's where I'm hitting the side of the machine so that it's gently moving it to the side. and I'm flipping at it, trying to get the tip of the flipper to touch it because I was getting a little close to draining. I don't want to do that. So we're going to try to get these orbits here.
That's a cliff up ahead.
You do that when it's going down the middle, when you can't like dead bounce the ball. It's a little bit more advanced.
I want the right ramp, and this because this machine also, and this is on like more modern stuff. If I make a shot, you'll see little red arrows show up. Oh well, no, it's not. But those are combo shots. They're combo shots. So if it was lit for an objective, that arrow would multiply it. Did I start? I started 3 players, right?
You did, yeah.
Okay, whoever would like to play player 2, and just.
Man, I'm about to say this. Number one fear is public speaking. Number 2 has to be playing pinball in public, man. This is like my worst fears confirmed. So I'm playing after like 2 of the best, but I'm gonna try.
So for me, and I don't know for Matt, but for me, I picked Prime Directive because it's got the most shots available. And I'm trying to, you're trying to maximize points, so I want the most shots available to me to be able to shoot. He's nailing that warp ramp. Not all machines have a ball save, so he just got the ball save, but it just depends on if it's got the feature or not. It's there to, save the ball if you drain too quickly because they don't want you to not have fun. But machines as old as Paragon don't tend to have a ball save, so it's like one and done.
Jim, that's a cliff up ahead.
Nice. It's not like.
And you might notice when the ball is going, he did it like a minute ago or so. When the ball is going into one of the out lanes on the right or the left, if you push the machine a little bit up as it hits those rubbers on there's rubber pieces on each of those lanes.
You finished the mode.
You can usually get it out the out lane that way.
Good Lord, this is my worst. Should've just went for vengeance. At least I look good with a multi-ball.
So he was just saying he should have just gone for vengeance. That's one of the multi-balls that are available in this game. But one of the techniques you can do is start, what a lot of people do, is they'll lock, because it keeps track of locked balls type thing. So they'll lock their first 2 balls, which means that once you lock your 3rd ball, multi-ball is going to start. So what most people will do is try to start a mode before they start the multi-ball, so you stack them. It's called stacking mode, stacking multi-balls. Steph, is there a reason you chose Klingon?
I chose Klingon Battle because it's a ramp mode, and the ramps are really easy to hit on this game. So I can look.
Is that mic working really well? Can you hear okay? So what she said was, I'll adjust that mic. I don't know if I can turn it up. Anyway, what she was saying is she chose Klingon Battle because she knows from experience that it's a ramp-heavy mode, so it's easy to just alternate ramps because each ramp feeds the flipper again, and so it's just ramp, right, all day if you're able to nail it. And so that's a great method of play is to try to, if you have to do something, at least do it the safe shots. So a lot of people will just until they figure out what they need to do, they'll just keep hitting ramps because it's just going to safely feed the flipper every time. Whereas if you hit an orbit or something like that, or a dead end stop shot, it's just going to that was a slap save. She was able to move the machine over just enough to get the tip of the flipper to hit the ball.
That was this luck.
Oh, it just slipped into the lock shot. So this machine also has Klingon multi-ball. There's another one. So she got a danger there, a single danger. You'll see there's actually companies named Double Danger, which is funny. But so you'll hear the term double danger. So a lot of modern machines will give you 2 warnings before it'll actually tilt you out. Old machines like Paragon, you get nothing. You tilt it, you're done. It's if it touches that sensor. On Star Trek, it'll give you 2 warnings. And on even ultra modern machines, they have something called debounce, so it'll actually with the first machines that gave you 2 warnings, it was literally like the tilt pendulum in there. If it just went, yeah, good job. Okay, we're gonna get Kobayashi Maru right here.
Yeah, for real. So again, about rule sets and stuff. So as you get through some of the missions, if you get through all 6 missions, if you light the whole board up, there's a wizard mode, and a wizard mode is kind of like a celebration that you got so far in the game. And the wizard mode usually like has like a big multi-ball where everything's lit up, all shots can go. There's a really good one. There's a Guardians of the Galaxy game made by Stern. Groot is the middle shot, so to start the multi-ball, just keep hitting Groot over and over again. And it has a lot of good like cinematronics and stuff on it. It's really, really cool. But the wizard mode for that game is Cherry Bomb, and it's literally just 40 seconds of just, you just hear Cherry Bomb like blaring as you're just like flipping for like 40 seconds nonstop. So it's really cool to get to certain parts of the game because they really celebrate you, like putting the time and energy and the patience to get through it. So it's always really cool to see what those games will do. Yeah, what's up?
Sort of. If there's techniques in multi-ball. Well, yes. If you can, during multi-ball, again, there's still rules during multi-ball, but you want to, good players can play with 1 ball in multi-ball, meaning that, let's say you have 3 balls in a multi-ball. Sometimes there's ridiculous ones with like, there's one with 13, but that's just a weird game. But like I own a Baywatch machine. It's really cool, unlike the show. But it has 6 balls. That can be a little much. But with a multi-ball, if you have 3 balls, for example, a good player can trap 2 balls on a flipper and play a multi-ball with 1 ball, which is what you want to do. Because that way you have 2 balls as a safety net. So if you screw something up, you have those 2 balls ready you have them saved. There's ways to also, with those 2 balls, if you need them for something else, you can juggle the balls on 1 flipper to move them around so you can make certain shots. It's a difficult thing to do. But you can definitely practice that. Just practice. The hardest thing is getting control of the balls to get them to stage them that way. But you can try just playing with 1 ball during multi-ball. That's how I try to play.
Here's a multi-ball.
Yes, you're playing with 1 flipper until. So. Maybe. Hey, Dave, just go ahead and do that.
What do you want me to do? Play with 1 ball?
Get a multi-ball and play. No, get a multi-ball and play with 1 ball, and then juggle the other balls.
Okay.
So yes, you play with 1 flipper until you no longer want to use that ball on that flipper. Then you go to your other flipper where the other 2 balls are, and then you juggle them. So you pop 1 up and shoot the other one. Does that make sense? It's very difficult to do, but those are that is what I aspire to do in a multi-ball.
One thing also to keep in mind when you're playing is if you look at that bottom light right now, there's a light at the bottom where the 2 flippers are. If it's flashing, that means that you're in a ball save. So every time you plunge a ball, that usually mostly the newer games have like a ball save mostly. And in that, it's even flashing again. See, as long as it's flashing, if you drain a ball, it will come back. So sometimes you want to just like, hey, you don't have to save all the balls. They're going to be coming back to you eventually. And even almost...
So he's doing what I was talking about.
What a stunt.
So he's juggling the balls now. So he's showing off a little bit.
Oh no! Okay.
Oh no!
So the multi-ball's over.
And then
Multi-ball's
that can happen too.
over. I want that warp ramp, man.
Hi.
Okay, so I finished the multi-ball. I've got no modes going, so I need to start a mode. That's what that blue shot is, and that blue shot under the upper flipper. Did you guys talk about stage flippers? I couldn't hear you.
So I can't do this very well, but really good players. Sometimes, so you see the upper right flipper that's out of not the bottom two, the one in the top right. There is a way to, if you have balls trapped on a flipper, the bottom right flipper, but you have, this is during a multi-ball, but you want to also hit like that side ramp with that upper right flipper. There's a way that you can still hold the balls on the right flipper, not move the bottom right flipper, and still flip the upper right flipper, if that makes sense. It's really it's really difficult. I never do it. It's too risky, in my opinion. But really good people can do that. I don't find it totally necessary, but it is an impressive skill.
It is very cool. It's a very cool thing to see. If you especially can see somebody do that joint on the fly, where you know how to like let your finger up off that button such that you're still keeping the bottom flipper up, but that upper flipper goes down and then popping a shot. That is like tough.
That's more for the advanced pinball seminar, though. Like it's really complicated. Not complicated, but it's hard to do.
Yeah, what's up?
You're asking if different pinball machines have different tilt rules, like if one's no. So there's a mechanism in the game itself that you can adjust. Like you can take the tilt out of your game entirely if you want. You won't learn how to play that way, but it's like a plum. It's like a pendulum, and there's a silver ring, like a metal ring around it. There's a metal ring around it, and it with the machine, it moves according to how much you move the machine. And if it hits that ring, it will give you a warning, and then if it hits it again, it will give you the tilt. But you can, in any game, you can adjust it so that the thing that's hanging is like either further up because it's a plum, so it's fatter at the bottom. It's like a pear. So if you move it up, it's harder, and if you move it down, it's more lenient. So it's no game is built a specific way.
Oh.
Although on some games, one second, on some games like Spooky's making games as a manufacturer, they are adding like mystery awards where you get an extra tilt warning. But the mechanism itself has been the same since the 50s. Yeah, it's that plumb bob inside. Elf ears. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Helped me so much in understanding the mechanism of it.
Yeah, the slow-mo guy's pinball video is good. Yeah.
But a lot of these skills that flipper skills that we're talking about for this game, this is a pretty modern game, are like, some of them are transferable to the older game on the left, but it's very different, like how these types of older games play as opposed to the newer ones.
Yeah, we'll probably get through this one game and then show you Paragon, because there are some things specifically when you get to older machines. We're getting most of our points while we play on Star Trek, but on Paragon and older games, most of your points come from bonus, which isn't calculated till the end.
Real quick.
making pinball machines. Yeah, so the question was, is anybody but Stern. Stern is the only one that survived the downfall of pinball, which happened in the late 90s and early 2000s. It almost went totally dead. Stern actually almost was pretty much bankrupt, and an investor come in and save him. Stern's the largest manufacturer, but some other smaller ones have popped up. Stern is the most consistent on quality, but you have Stern. The second largest right now is called Jersey Jack, which is funny that they're still called Jersey Jack because they just moved to Chicago, because Chicago is like the pinball mecca for pinball manufacturing in its history. And then some of the smaller boutique shops that are also putting out really cool like design things is there's Spooky Pinball. There's what's the other one? Well, there's Chicago Gaming Company. They're actually remaking a lot of Williams because Williams went defunct. Chicago Gaming bought all the rights to remake all those, so they've actually come out with they've remade 5. I think it was 5 titles. There's a Cactus Canyon downstairs that you can play. That's a remake of the original. Cactus Canyon was at the end of Williams' time, so they actually never finished the original code even. So they finished the code and remade the game. Yay!
No, that was bad.
Okay, let's try to get to Kobayashi moves. Here we go.
We got 10 minutes left, so.
Yeah, we only got 10 minutes, but I want to get to Kobayashi. You have an extra ball. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm trying to get you with this. Dirty. Wait, real quick.
I think we.
Yeah.
Some games like that. So in games before you have to win or win not.
Like when it's it's like risk reward. So and that's one of the reasons, like during tournaments, I was saying you have like 30 seconds or whatever, or 2 minutes or whatever, to play a game and figure out how tight the tilt is, because they can adjust it. A lot of tournaments will set it really tight. So on a machine like Paragon, I'll finish a ball and I'll have 50,000 points, but I could have 200,000 points in bonus. And on every game that's ever made, if you tilt, you lose your bonus. So on Star Trek, you just don't build up a crazy amount of bonus usually. So it's like, it's okay if I tilt out. I don't have a lot to lose. But Paragon, it's not. So it's definitely going to be, the older you get, the less you want to tilt. But in terms of the machines, the older the machines get, the less you want to tilt. But yeah, there was, sure.
So, do the hat real quick.
Hat.
And then black shirt, plaid shirt.
So that gets a little more difficult. I know you've got.
What was the question again?
Oh, the question was when do you know it's a good time to shake the machine, and then how do you decide which way to do it? So he's got some good like north, south, east, west stuff I want you to talk about. But what I'll just say to start off is what you might see is sometimes
Free game.
you want to eliminate the ball movement left-right as much as possible, because any left-right movement of the ball is heading towards a drain. That's almost always what I think. So even if it's halfway up the machine, up the play field, if it hits like the right side, a lot of times it's just like, oh, I'm up, yep, bye, and it just goes out, and you had nothing to do. But if I give it a nudge, right, if I hit it from this side as it's hitting this, so the ball's coming this way and it would just drain. If I had nudged the machine this way, the ball's going to come down and make a more direct path over and like less likely to drain. So, and then go to your left. Yeah.
Real quick, I think I was like overhearing someone talking about there's a game where the flipper, the rubber like actually moves a little bit. When the ball's coming straight down, that's like a really good time to flip that flipper, because that rubber's just gonna like slightly like knock it off and like save it in the last minute. I usually do that sometimes if I didn't see it coming, if it's just like a slow come down. Guy in the black shirt. You saw, yeah.
There's kind of a lot to that, because I operate games, I put games in bars and things like that. I'm looking for build quality, like actual what's under the playfield, you know, because like Jersey Jack makes some of the best looking games out there, but they have some mechanics that are really tough for service people to keep running. So if you have it in your house, you're only playing 100 games a year. Seriously, like people they'll only play 100. I don't know how they do that. But then you know, you want to put in a bar and get 5,000 a year. Like it's going to be a build quality difference. But like when I walk up to a machine and I play it, a lot of people it's going to be a personal preference in some ways, but a lot of people want what's called flow. Like I want to be able to hit this ramp and then hit this ramp and then this orbit and then it comes back to the flipper and then I hit this other. So it's just like it feels good. The ball's just moving around
Also,
really well.
also like getting an easy multi-ball too, because I think for a lot of people, the multi-ball is like that instant gratification. It's like, whoa, this is really crazy, like flashing lights, and you're like having this like real like big adrenaline rush of like being able to balance all this stuff at once. So if you get like easy multi-balls, like there's a game Mandalorian that's like, you know, it's a pretty good IP. Everyone knows Mando. We got less than 5 at this point, so just, you know, take the dive. But yeah, like games that have like a really easy multi-ball are really fun to play initially. And you know, he's from the operator for me getting into games. When I play it, you know, does it excite me? Like play all games, you know. Find out what you like, because there's not going to be everyone has, like, yeah, flow, stop and go. There's so many different types of games. There's different types of like intellectual properties that are more exciting to you. I personally don't care for rock and roll, so a lot of this is like, you know, so I don't really play those. But there's some games that have certain things that you like about it, some you don't like about it, you know. All right, Plaid, and I think that's it. But you guys can talk this after. I'll hang around.
Are we still playing Paragon?
No,
we're gonna try to play Paragon, but I want to.
You might get the hook. We better be careful. But Plaid, what's up?
Okay, if I finish this mode, I get the wizard mode. So you got to do this.
Oh no, you gotta give him Kobayashi Maru.
All right, we'll try to knock this out real quick.
Sorry, hold on, Dave, 1 second.
He,
Sorry, start your question again. You're asking for a pinball tournament. Do you play the same game the whole time? No. I mean, you can set up a pinball tournament however you want, and it will be sanctioned by the governing body. But that would be very, very uncommon to have a pinball tournament that you would play one game. There are like fun side tournaments that there'll be one game and everyone will play a ball on a game, and whoever has the highest score gets a prize. But not like there's no serious big pinball tournament would not be on one game. There's usually a bank of games, and everyone. You don't necessarily all. It depends. There's lots of different types of tournaments. But generally speaking, you'd never just play one. You don't necessarily play the same games as others are playing, because there's like qualifying times for some tournaments.
It's the last shot, it won't time out.
Where you can like pick the games that you're good at and qualify for the main events based on those games, and then everyone in the main event may play the same set of games, but yeah, definitely not one game.
We got it. I think it's gonna malfunction and not let me do it.
Yeah, the game was acting funny.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna let me do it. It's just something broke.
Yeah, that's not how it's supposed to. Right now, that whole triangle should be lit up.
Come on.
Yeah, it didn't give me what you call it, multi-ball, the vengeance multi-ball. It malfunctioned then too. But
Come
anyway.
on. Oh, keep it. Yes. All right, we got it. Yeah. Kobayashi Maru. So, what's happening on the top of the screen is I collected medals for doing well in the modes. Not very well, because I only got 1 gold medal, but it's collecting all the points for that once it starts Kobayashi Maru.
In center range.
And then it's a multi-ball. So, yeah, we got to see a wizard mode. That's fun.
So this is actually, I mean, this is very, this is impressive, don't get me wrong, but this game actually has like after this, there's, what's it called, 5-year mission?
The next one's Enterprise Amok.
Okay, so there's Enterprise Amok, and then it's called 5-year mission, and it's extremely difficult, and we would be here for over an hour. Because once you learn rule sets and you're good at games, modern games like this if you're good, can take over an hour. So we would never be able to show that. But this is on the path to the beating the game, as you would say.
I've done this once. I've been playing this game for years, and I've done what he's done in 15 minutes once. So just know there's wood to chop. You can always, you see God just like, oh, look at him, he's beautiful. But, you know, it can be done. Real quick, I know we got to scoot our boots, but you want to plug your Twitch? No plug? All right. Brief
I'll just
listening.
say there are if you're interested in pinball streaming, there are a lot of pinball streamers on Twitch.
She streams.
Yes, but if you want to watch someone good, you should probably watch. I think the most popular is Dead Flip. Another person I like to watch who is less of a superstar personality is IE Pinball, which I think stands for Inland Empire. That's his name is Carl D'Angelo. He's really good at pinball. You can also my stream is called One iPod, One Pinball. I stream with a friend of mine. It's basically just me cursing at the game. We also stream most of the time from Mom's Organic Market in College Park, and we also review snacks from the grocery store while we're playing. Yeah, there's lots of other streamers too. Do we not have time?
Yeah, I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we're out of time anyway, so.
I was going to try to do some more flippers, but thank you for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you.